Hey guys, I'm going to bring you through a couple things when it comes to Inventor. So first off, I'm just going to go through this PowerPoint. I want you guys to sort of follow along and also stop the video as needed and reproduce what it is that we're producing here as we do this. I'm going to have everything up on one screen here, and then you guys will be able to do this as we go along here. But let's get started here. So solid modeling. So it's obviously type of 3D CAD. And there's a couple models that I just want to show you right here. This one's a wireframe, and this one is a solid model. Typically with Inventor, we're going to be dealing with these solid models here. The wireframe model, if you do get into that mode, it just gives you the outline of the model, but it's probably a little bit more useful to look at it through this. Notice this is an isometric view that we've been sort of working with before. The front is darker than the sides as far as the shading goes. The software automatically does that stuff for you there. So there's two processes that we're going to be going over here. One is the additive method, and the other one is the subtractive method. You can use either or. When you're doing your models, what you're really going to want to do is sort of think through the model before you start modeling. That's very important, because if you start modeling and you sort of get stuck, it's so much harder to go back and fix things when if you just took some time and thought about it before, you would be, it'd be a lot easier and just a lot quicker than what you're doing too. Also, there's these things called Boolean operations that we'll sort of be talking about here in a little bit. But as far as your solid modeling goes, the additive method. So you can sort of think about it as you're building up the model. So things like welding and gluing or mechanical casting, you're joining things together with it. You can do that with the software itself. And what that looks like here is if you have like a bunch of blocks, then you put all the blocks together. So that's the method 1, method 2, method 3. These are just different ways of doing the same exact thing here with different size blocks. But you're going to have to try to think of, if you want to create this piece right here, well, how is it that you're going to do that? One way you could do it is make this shape first and then add this shape onto it, or you can make the bottom shape and add this top shape to it, or you could just do complete blocks. In the software, you don't really want to do this, so it's going to take you a long time. So either one of these two methods would probably be the best thing for you on that. All right, so we're going to get to our turn here and modeling this thing. So if we take a look, let me make this bigger. That's where it goes through this whole thing. We're going to make this shape first, and then we're going to add, so this red shape, and then we're going to add this shape over here. So if we take a look here, it's 1.5 tall by 1.5, and then you add a 0.75 onto that, and we'll be able to do that here. So let's take a look at that. So I'll get into Inventor. Let's make this big, and we're going to start a new part. So I can click it right here. That should start a new part. If this thing it's loading right now, so that's what we're seeing. My computer probably takes a little bit longer than yours does for this, but we'll get into a screen that says not responding. No. Here we go. So once I have this nice gray screen. If I try clicking, it doesn't do all that much. So what I want to do is pretty much any model that you're going to do is going to be this thing called Start 2D Sketch. You're going to do that right here, and I want to go onto this plane. All right, now it brings me up to the sketch mode, so it changed from 3D model up here to sketch, and I can now start modeling this thing. I'm going to pan this. All I did was press and hold down the scroll wheel button there, and that does that. If I I can zoom in by using the scroll wheel. I can rotate by hitting Shift, and that will rotate. You can see on the top right hand corner right here, this will also do those same things. You can just click and drag it on there. I still want my front view. There's also this little toolbar that can help you if I want to pan, and there's this pan tool right here, this little hand on that. That I can use as well if you don't want to, but I think using the scroll wheel is probably the quickest thing that you can do. So now, once I'm in the sketch here, I want to do a couple rectangles. So I'm going to do a rectangle right here. This is going to be 1.5 by, was it 0.75? So if I take a look at the top right there, it's in inches. So I'm going to change that to 1.5, and then I'm going to say plus 0.75, because I don't really want to do math in my head, and that will automatically do it. I'm going to hit the tab key right now, and that will bring me to the next one right here. And then that one was 1.5, and I'll hit enter, and now I have this nice thing that is a nice little square. Now, if this thing is green instead of blue right there, it means that you didn't start your box from the origin point, so it's sort of floating in space. We'll worry about that later, but for now, don't worry about it. But you should have something that says 2.25 and 1.5 right now. All right. And so now we don't want this, like there's a little notch out here that we don't want anymore. So I'm going to make another rectangle, and I'm going to start it right there, and I'm going to make it, it was 0.75 by 0.75, 0.75, and then I'll have that right there. Now, say you hit enter or something like that with, and you don't have a dimension on one of these. I'm going to delete this thing. All I did to delete, actually, I hit the delete key instead of hitting the backspace. But say I don't have a dimension on here, and this thing is green. I can add a dimension by going up here. I select the line that I want to dimension, and then I place it. I say whatever dimension I want it to be, and I hit enter, and then now I have it on there. All right. So we'll finish the sketch on that. It's a little bit zoomed in, so I'm going to hit the home button, make it into my screen, and then I'm going to make this thing, and basically it's called an extrude. You're going to extrude it out here. I believe it was 0.75 inches that we're extruding out. So I'll extrude it. I'm going to select. So I don't want to select that one. I want to select the face that I want to extrude. I want to select that face right there. And I want to extrude it 0.75. 75. All right, so I hit enter. And now I have that block. Now there's another block. It was a 0.75 block that was attached to this thing. I can do the additive method and add this on right now. And that's what I'll be doing. So I'm going to hit start 2D sketch right up here. Hit the block, do my rectangle, start my rectangle from this corner, bring it up, and it's going to be 0.75, tab, 0.75, and hit enter. There, I hit finish 2D sketch. Now, I need to extrude that, so I hit extrude, and it's already at 0.75, everything's looking good right there, and I hit OK, and now this block is done right there. Next video will be the subtractive method.